Hello, friends. Welcome to Take Two for this Wednesday, the 24th of March, 2021. I'm Jeannie. I'm so glad you've decided to come along for the ride today. Well, I want to talk to you just very briefly today about priorities. What is your priority? Do you ever stop and think? Do you ever spend so much time majoring on the minor that you completely forget the reasons why you may be doing it? I talked recently with a friend whose dad worked. He was a very hardworking man. And when she was growing up, he and she was actually a brother and sister I was talking to. When they were growing up, their father worked so hard. That was back in the day when, only the man worked in the household and the mom was stay-at-home mom, and there was something like 5 or 6 kids in the family, so you could understand he had to work quite a bit. In addition to his I think it was like he worked delivering things in trucks and loading trucks and that kind of stuff. Besides doing that very heavy work, he also had some weekend jobs that he did on the side. He did painting and roofing and things and handyman jobs. Just to say, he worked like 7 days a week, far back as these two that I was talking to could remember. Their dad was a hardworking man. And he said he did it all for his family, and his priority was his family. And I remember when it got to the point, them telling me that when it got to the point they were growing up and the needs weren't as great that they had, and, the kids some of them were leaving home and that kind of stuff. This man continued to work like that, even though he didn't need to. And he was well into his late 60s, early 70s. He was still working like that. And finally, the kids said, "Look, Dad, you got to stop doing this because, you're done. You don't need to work like this anymore." He says, "Well, this is all I've ever known, so this is what I'm going to do. And besides, I might want to buy a new vehicle, and I might want to do some work on the house, and I might want to so I need the money. I need the money." And these kids knew that probably every dime the man ever made, if it wasn't spent taking care of them, it was banked away, and he really didn't need to do that. But his priorities were sort of in the wrong place because his thoughts were, "Oh, I want to get a truck, I want to get this." And what ended up happening was he suddenly one day had a massive heart attack and died. And his priorities just kind of were in the wrong place because he never got to enjoy anything. And the kids had a little bit of resentment, and they really had to work through. I met this brother and sister when I was going through a grief support group when my mom died. And I remember them sharing this story with everybody. And they said, we really both had to go through this brother and sister were only a year apart, so they were very close. And they said, we really had to go through a lot of resentment, trying to get over our resentment because his priorities were all in the wrong place. And I thought, that's it. His priorities were in the wrong place. He originally was working hard like that for the purpose of taking care of his family and getting the bills paid and all that. And while mom took care of the house, and there was a lot to take care of there too. That was her job. She had many jobs, wore many hats, I'm sure. But when your priorities are in the wrong place with something like that, it could end up in absolute disaster, as it did with their dad, who died of a heart attack. I think he was like 72 when he passed away. And it was very sad. So my question to you today, boys and girls, is, I've talked about stopping and smelling the roses and how important that is, but where are your priorities? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Stop and analyze it. Do you remember that old song, The Cat's in the Cradle and the Silver Moon? And the little boy had grown up just like his dad, where he was forgetting his father because his father just didn't have time for his kids. So now they're grown up and they don't have time for their dad. That's not a good thing. I ask you today to examine your heart and your works and say, where are my priorities? And make sure that you balance them out, because all of that is in vain if it's all just done without any thought to what it's doing to everybody else. It's all in vain, and nothing ever gets solved by having misplaced priorities. Now listen, go out and be a blessing today on this warm day. You may end up being the only one who is. If you know somebody who needs to stop and examine their priorities in their life, you help them through it, okay? And maybe you could say, hey, been there, done that, I understand. And play cats in the cradle for them. Maybe it's something they need to hear. Now listen, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make that a priority, won't you? JeanneSigler. Hit that subscribe and that notification bell. You'll be notified every time another Take Two premieres. I love you all very much. Loving you guys and serving you through these words and these thoughts are a priority for me, and I think it's a good one. I love you all on this whoop day. Have a great one. I'll see you on Friday for my unsung hero. I love you. Bye-bye.